All right, folks, listen up. I've got some announcements before we start today's show. First of all, we just hit 100,000 followers on TikTok, which is a really big milestone for a random comedy show. We're greatly appreciative of all of you who have followed and supported us on social media. 100K, baby! And speaking of videos, did you know you can watch full episodes of our show on YouTube? Just search for the Ross Bolen Podcast. It's funny because we do many thousands of downloads of every episode of our show, yet only do like 300 views on YouTube most of the time, and we're still working to improve the YouTube experience, but it's solid right now. It's not bad, so get in there and enjoy some episodes in full video. We did not start this show offering full video way back in the day, but we definitely are now, so be aware, every episode in full on YouTube. Next, if you are an F1 fan, Jared here runs the hottest F1 brand and podcast in the world, in my opinion, Formula Bone. He records an episode of the Formula Bone F1 show, available wherever you listen to RBP, to both preview and recap every F1 race, available, again, wherever you listen to the Ross Bolen Podcast. Jared also hosts our Westworld podcast, Freeze All Motor Functions. If you are watching Westworld on HBO, I co-host with our dear friend Serena. Season 4 has been a blast so far. Westworld is back, baby! Speaking of TV, the first Game of Thrones spinoff is coming. The former #1 Game of Thrones podcast in the world, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, found a home right here at Bolen Media. It is now the #1 House of the Dragon podcast in the realm. We will be recapping and reacting to every episode in podcast form starting August 21st after the premiere, right there on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. And finally, grab yourself some merch at bolenmedia.com/shop. Thank you again for supporting our media startup. We appreciate you so much. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Ross Bolen Podcast. I am your host, Ross Bolen, here with the most erotic man in podcasting, Jared Borislow.
Hey, Ross. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
I heard that once.
And the reason I bring this up is because of what I'm drinking.
Yeah, you got something special going in the stew today.
I've never drank this before. It was an impulse buy at the grocery store. It is Monster Sweet Black Nitro-Infused Cold Brew.
Dear God.
Now, this isn't your grandma's cold brew. It's nitro-infused, for starters, and then it also contains Monster's proprietary blend of guarana, ginseng, and then a bunch of things that definitely are not natural and are made in a laboratory.
Yeah, we're going to talk...
One of which is pyridoxine hydrochloride, which sounds dangerous.
It does. We're going to talk a little bit about unnatural products later in the show, so it's fitting that you're holding one in your hand. I noticed, obviously, that this Monster that you're holding, it says Sweet Black at the top, by the way, which is funny to me, and it's not green like your traditional Monster. You're dealing with a black and, what is that, bronze?
Sweet Black.
Gold colored can there.
Yeah,
it looks dangerous.
You bring up a good point. Sweet Black, in terms of coffee, is kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Like, usually black coffee means there's nothing in it. It is not sweet. It is bitter. It is coffee.
No creamer has been added.
This is black, but it's a little sweet. I believe it's part of the Monster's proprietary blend.
Sweet Black.
It's sweet. It's not very good. I should note, but it does have 220% of my daily riboflavin.
It's going to keep you alive and awake during this podcast, and that's what's important, right?
Why is there so much sodium in this? There's 14% of my daily sodium.
How much sodium are you supposed to have a day? How do you know this?
It tells me my percent daily value.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I don't know how much, but 330 milligrams is 14%, so do the math in your head right there. It's pretty easy to do the math there to figure out what 100% would be. You can do math, right?
Nope.
330 is 14% of what?
I don't know, but until Monster starts paying us, I'm done talking about their beverage. Jared, last week on premium, ad-free Patreon, available exclusively to those supporting us on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, you and I shared the biggest news I have ever had the privilege of sharing. Now, while I wanted those supporting us on Patreon to find out first, obviously I want to share the good news with everyone, but everyone has to find out the exact same way that J-Bone did. So we saved a clip from back on June 9th when I first shared this news with Jared. Roll it, J-Bone. All right, Jared, I'm going to send you a series of photos now, and I would like you to react to them live on the show as I do. Do you understand the assignment?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Pretty straightforward.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sending them now.
Okay. Is this AirDrop?
Via
iMessage?
iMessage.
iMessage. Okay.
Via iMessage to your cellular device.
Okay. What's the first? Which is the first one you want to
The
react
one at the
to?
top.
Wait. I looked at the bottom one.
You can look at all three of them.
No fucking way.
Yes, fucking way.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm going to be a dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In February of 2023, you can expect baby Bolen to be born.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
I found out right before we left for Mexico. So like to give people, to rewind a second here, to give people some context. In the series of 48 hours before leaving for my first vacation in many years, we have a COVID scare where I don't know if I'm going to be able to go because we don't know if maybe Bolen Media has a COVID situation going. And then I found out my wife was pregnant.
I need
So we got pregnant like 2 weeks after we got married.
Again, congratulations. I'm extremely happy for you two. I must point out, what Ross told me before the show is we're doing a little cold open bit. So I'm like getting ready. I'm like thinking like, okay, what jokes can I make?
Time to do comedy.
And then you can see in the video when you look at me, see the pregnancy test that's positive. My brain like has trouble going from joke mode into wait.
Yeah, it's hard. I made her take a second one because I was like, no way. I didn't really. I mean,
Did you think you were sterile?
For those of you, not that I thought I was sterile, but for those of you who are aware of the effects of pot smoking, it's not good for your sperm.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was just Mountain Dew.
We were trying, but literally, like that was it was my first shot on goal, and yep. So we didn't really expect it this quickly, but we're super excited. Obviously,
Oh my God.
my wife and I very excited, very happy,
But
and
tell
it
me-
made
tell
our
me-
vacation all the more special. So
Yeah.
again, to rewind, it was a honeymoon, my birthday, 35th birthday, and baby moon.
Okay. Considering that you never take vacations, it's very Ross of you to just combine all of those into one vacation.
Knock them all out. Why not?
Wait, so tell me more about like the conception.
He shoots, he scores! I have obviously officially been a stepdad since April, and helping raise my stepdaughter has truly been the most rewarding and exhausting thing I have ever done. So I cannot wait to meet baby Bolen in February and completely surrender myself to being exhausted and broke for the foreseeable future in my life, Jared. It's going to be huge. I'm going to be a dad.
So you never answered the question. Tell me more about the conception.
So I should note, speaking of the conception, my wife, as I mentioned last week on Patreon, is the ultimate badass. She was a single mother when we met. She's since started her own business. On top of that, she's been doing all the advertising sales for all of our shows here at Bolen Media all year, working 2 jobs. On top of that, she's the best mom in the world. On top of that, she takes care of my crazy ass every day, drives me to and from work most days. She is everything to me. I'm grateful for a lot of things in my life. I'm grateful for this show, my career, my family. I'm grateful for J-Bone most days. But above all of that, I am grateful for her. I would not be here without her. She is truly my rock. I do not care how cheesy that sounds. I'm like Tom Cruise on Oprah right now. And if not for this microphone, I'd jump up on this chair and behave like a Scientologist psychopath. So as a result, first of all, just for anybody who's not watching on YouTube, Jared and I have chosen special outfits for today's show. I'm wearing a full suit. It's actually the suit that I got married in. And then I have a cowboy hat on that I purchased when I was in Montana because I wanted to feel like a cowboy. And then Jared has the hat that he typically wears when we're recording Freeze All Motor Functions. It's a Westworld hat that I think you picked up actually from an HBO
Activation, South by Southwest.
South by Southwest activation that was advertising for Westworld. So we've got special fits on today.
And I'm wearing the J-Bone shirt.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Also wearing, what was it? How much did that thing cost?
$120.
$120 t-shirt on J-Bone right now. It's
Robert
beautiful.
Grant. Wait, is it inside out?
It is a skeleton riding a motorcycle. Looks like a Harley with a almost like a Monet-esque type of background. It's a thing to behold, that is for sure. So special show today, special outfits, in the studio, which is something I'm trying to make a little bit of a tradition here. So, yeah, as a result of baby Bolen's impending arrival, there is a lot of shuffling going on. We are selling my wife's house where we've been living the last several months. Last week, I bought a new house where I will be raising my kids and feeding my family for the next decade or more.
And baby birding me smoothies every morning.
Yeah, you already know, by the way, that the first door when you walk into the new crib leads to a podcast studio. I am so stoked, man. This commute from North to South Austin every day since I can remember even has been killing my highway hating ass. So getting my whole life in one area of this city was really, really important for my mental health. And I'm ready to not have my highway PTSD shit get kicked up every morning before work because it's honestly not that great for my productivity. It's going to be big, J-Bone. Huge.
Very big.
Yeah, but...
And we're also turning the studio, which is another house, into a convent.
The Bolen Media House is becoming a convent for young monks and
horny nuns.
And would-be nuns that are too horny to actually make it in the Catholic Church. They come here.
They fuck.
The monks participate in a vow of silence before the sex starts, so they have to be completely quiet during...
Because we're recording podcasts here still.
Yeah.
Can't have that being picked up outside the studio.
Right. People don't realize this, but the room is sound treated to make it sound good, the sounds that are happening in the room. But that doesn't mean we can't hear what's happening outside the room. It's not soundproof. There's a difference. So just keep that in mind if you're one of the nuns or monks that's going to be smashing in Bolen Media headquarters soon.
We're not like the studio in Barry that's completely soundproof. No sound gets in or out. You watch Barry? You see the show Barry, season 3?
Okay, I'm on season 1 though.
Okay.
Yeah. Barry is phenomenal though on HBO.
I just finished season 3.
That was the most recent season, correct?
Yes. Why the fuck did I not watch it earlier? Barry is one of my favorite shows on TV. Barry it's the way that it's like one of the darkest shows on TV, but also one of the funniest. Which, granted, part of the reason it's so funny is NoHo Hank specifically. NoHo Hank, in my opinion, is the best character on television. Right now.
I mean he's definitely like the on the nose comedic relief, but like even Barry, who is a pretty complicated and dark character just in season 1, which is the only season I've seen. He has really funny lines as well.
And season 3, he's not as funny.
Not as funny. No. Yeah, I think it continues to get darker. That tends to be the trend on shows like that. But yeah, Barry's one of those that I watched the first season, life got crazy. I haven't picked it back up, but I can't wait because it was one of my favorite things I've watched when I saw the first season. Obviously, looking forward to getting back in there at some point. So a lot of good news in terms of baby Bolen and the new crib and everything, but I guess if there was a negative, it's that we're moving this weekend during the worst heat wave that I can remember. And fortunately, Micah recommended some movers to me when he came through for episode 500, and I'm actually using his boys. So if they destroy any of my wife's stuff, it Micah fault, not mine. Just throwing that out up front.
So I'm pretty sure it actually is the hottest week in Austin's history.
Yeah, it's not good. Not ideal timing.
But right now, I'm looking outside. There's a cloud, and that's huge for us.
Yeah, it helps a little bit. Knocks a degree off from 110 down to 109. Also, as I said on Patreon, look, everyone listening right now is part of the reason I was able to make this comeback from the lowest lows I've ever experienced and turn my life around and make it into something I'm proud to say I built. Our listeners have had to watch so many L's over the last few, just so many losses. Just like I've cried on the show, you know what I mean? And friends, it feels very, very good to be stacking wins again. I'm endlessly appreciative for the opportunity to entertain you good people every week, as I know Jared is as well. I'm thankful for everybody here supporting us. I cannot wait to share some of the most entertaining and hilarious things I learn about pregnancy and childbirth and parenting down the line. I'm entering a whole new zone of content creation, J-Bone. Dad jokes are incoming. Parenting content is incoming. Hold on to your butts, bitches. Baby Bolen is coming.
And you're going to name it Jared, you said. You told me that in private, but I'm going to say it now in public.
Got to get it on the record, huh?
Mm-hmm. Ross told me that. He said, Jared, I'm so thankful for you. I'm going to name my child after you.
But then what if I called him J-Bone, you know? We don't know if it's a he or she,
No, there
by
can
the
only
way.
be one.
No idea what the gender is yet. We talked about this on Patreon too, but a lot of people are going to be wondering, is there going to be a gender reveal? And let me just say, we're working on it. We're working on it.
So when Ross says that, he means it is way harder than you would think with the ammunition shortage to secure the amount of tannerite that we're looking for.
Right. We're looking for a massive amount. So if you happen to be like a tannerite outlet owner, we're looking for discounts. Obviously,
we'll take bootleg as well. We'll take expired
Very
tannerite.
true. Very
we
true.
prefer it.
In fact, yes,
More unpredictable.
I've heard that the expired tannerite makes for a much more dangerous experience, which is exactly what you and I are looking to create here. As we said on Patreon, we want at least one death. It's like a Dothraki wedding. A Bolen media gender reveal needs to have at least one death, or it's considered uninteresting.
And the reason why we like the expired tannerite, just to circle back to that, is because it's not the tannerite that expires, it's the wicks.
So you have to fire directly into it to activate. Okay, yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. Mazel, mazel. Today's episode is brought to you by Talkspace. When it comes to therapy and psychiatry, getting the help you need has never been so simple. When you're able to access your provider from the comfort of your device, it means therapy can be on your schedule, and alleviating the wait times to get an appointment or the travel time to an office can free up time for the rest of your life. Talkspace is so convenient and accessible. It helps me feel supported around the clock. I've been in therapy for over a decade. Can't more highly recommend it. Got to have that tool in your toolbox, man. You need it. Life is hard. But I also understand that starting therapy can obviously be daunting. Getting started is way less daunting with Talkspace. They make connecting with a licensed therapist easy so you can stop setting aside your own mental well-being. Talkspace takes some of the pressure off that first step. It's a more flexible and convenient way to get high-quality care. Plus, there are several payment options for you to choose from. Once you match with one of your licensed therapists, you can message them anytime through the app or schedule a live session if you need to talk through something. Talkspace is the #1 online therapy platform that has thousands of licensed therapists trained in over 40 specialties, including anxiety, depression, relationships, and more. Your therapist can help you set and achieve your goals. And as one of our listeners, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com. Use the code RBP to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's code RBP at Talkspace.com for $100 off your first month. Jared, today I want us both to take part in something I'm calling the GOAT Draft. It's where we each pick a goat, a greatest of all time, not like a billy goat versus, I don't know any other goats. Do you know name a goat that's not a billy goat?
Horny goatweed.
That's, okay, types of goats. Let's see, we got to get at least one
Mountain
here.
goat.
American pygmy goat. There you go. Nigerian dwarf goat. That sounds tight. Damascus goat. We'll learn about goats another day. Today we're talking about greatest of all time goats.
See, what's interesting is all these like adjectives like pygmy and dwarf, they're also used to describe your penis.
Fainting goat.
Fainting penis as well, I've heard.
Okay, so we're going to pick a goat for a bunch of different categories. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready to go.
First off, TV show. Let's just start there. It's relevant to you and I. Mine is fairly obvious, and it's something I've stated time and time again, and we're actually actively covering it on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles Patreon, but it's The Sopranos, okay? Game of Thrones was the only show that almost took that throne, no pun intended, from The Sopranos, but then fell short. The Sopranos, for me, it's not only the quality of the show, but it's the time period of my life in which I first consumed it, and then I've rewatched it several times since. Just holds a very special place in my heart, obviously considered by a lot of people to be one of the greatest shows of all time. But for me, it is my GOAT. And right now, actively, we are finishing the final 3 episodes. We're doing a companion podcast for every episode of The Sopranos on patreon.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles with myself and Mr. Barrett Dudley, who's my co-host on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. And so my GOAT TV show is The Sopranos. There are a lot, that are in my top 5. It kind of shuffles around. I love The Wire. There's new stuff in the golden age of TV constantly coming out. It wouldn't shock me if at some point Barry's in my top 5 when I'm all the way caught up and the show is all said and done. But for now, The Sopranos. Jared, who's your GOAT?
So this is tough. As everybody knows, I prefer a nice documentary.
True.
But it's TV show, so I'm not going to go like docuseries. This is supposed to be like, a TV show, not a
Yeah, that'd be a little unfair.
So I know a lot of people think, he does a Westworld podcast. He's going to say Westworld. No.
That's what I thought you'd say.
No. Season 1 of Westworld is the greatest season of television of all time.
In your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion. If that's what this is, then it's season 1 of Westworld. But
no. You gotta. It's series, not
holistic,
season,
right?
Yeah.
So then it comes down to 2, and one of them is Futurama, which is the greatest cartoon of all time.
Animated classic.
But because it's so much harder to pull off a good live action, like actual human being show than it is to pull up a cartoon, I'm going to pick the greatest TV show of all time. Burn Notice.
I knew it. God damn it. I saw it coming from a mile away, And I should have known it before I even threw this out there. I should have just listed Burn Notice for you and we could have moved on to movies.
My name is Michael Weston. I used to be a spy until we got a burn notice on you. You're blacklisted. When you're burned, you've got nothing. No cash, no credit, no job history. You'll take whatever. I don't fucking know.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to do the whole thing.
I
That was
remember,
impressive still.
I used to know it at one point because I went and rewatched Burn Notice in 2016, which, by the way, takes an unbelievably long time. There are so many fucking episodes of that show. It took like 4 months of my life.
Dude, there are network TV shows that have like 15 seasons with 25 episodes per season apiece. It's crazy, some of these shows, how many episodes they have.
Yeah, it's absurd. But yeah, Burn Notice, my goat.
All right, let's move on to
And by the
movie.
way, it's only a joke in that I double down on it so hard. It really is a good TV show. If you're actually like, should I watch it? At least watch the first couple seasons and then judge from there. If you want to watch the remaining 8 or whatever the fuck.
I feel like a lot of people right now listening are like, shit, I want to start one of these shows, and now I don't know which one to pick, and I can't tell you. Burn Notice or The Sopranos. Got to pick one.
2 goats.
Moving on to movies. What's your greatest movie of all time?
As everybody knows, I prefer a nice documentary. But I try to pick a movie. When I thought about this, I'm thinking the whole big picture, right? I'm thinking like rewatchability is huge. If you don't want to watch a movie more than once, it's not that good of a movie.
I completely agree.
So rewatchability, soundtrack, acting, entertainment. I'm going to honestly go with Interstellar.
Really? Okay. I don't think that's a bad pick. I love Interstellar. It's a great movie. It's highly enjoyable. It's extremely entertaining. It's very rewatchable. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
I listen to the soundtrack every week as well.
And goes without saying, Hans Zimmer, probably the GOAT of composers, in my opinion. And that's a huge part of enjoying that movie as well. Yeah, no, I like that pick, man. That's not a bad pick.
Thank you.
Rewatchability plays a huge part in my pick. It's also not like, some super quirky choice that's going to make people like, well. And let me also say, you touched something important. It has to be rewatchable because, like, if you pick, like, Parasite or, if you pick Schindler's List, like, it's not that those aren't great movies, but that can't be your GOAT. You don't want to just go suffer for 3.5 hours while you're watching your GOAT. It needs to be something that you find enjoyable. And not that it can't be serious or a drama. Interstellar is a heavy-ass film in some ways. But I'm just saying, you need to be able to rewatch it for it to be your greatest of all time movie. Mine is The Godfather Part 1. And first of all, I might be a little obsessed with the mafia and organized crime.
Yeah, just a little bit, I guess.
But I have officially let go of being one of the people who argues Part 2 is better than Part 1. I thought that made me like a cool film critic, artsy douchebag. Back in the day, I used to always say that Part 2 is my favorite. And I think it still is. I love The Godfather Part 2. But Part 1 set the stage so Part 2 could be what it is. And there's no Marlon Brando in Part 2, obviously. So I'm finally letting go of that old argument. It's just The Godfather Part 1. The first one is the one that deserves the credit for me, and that's my GOAT. There's a lot of others that I consider. Shawshank is up there for sure. But it's like, that's so... It's not, I feel like it's not my... Like, it's not a movie that I can really relate to on a granular level like I can with The Godfather. So,
okay.
What about actor?
For me, Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. Big Silence of the Lambs guy?
I mean, that, Westworld. Like, I don't think there's any role he can't do. I honestly can't think of another role besides those two, but those two alone are like, yeah, this guy's
Well, the one that he
incredible.
most recently got nominated for Best Actor for, which is just kind of an amazing thing to do considering how old he is at this point, not being an ageist, but my God, he's getting up there, was The Father. And that was in 2020, and that's the last thing that he got so much attention for. But some of my other favorite Anthony Hopkins movies would be Fracture. You remember that one? It's him and Ryan Gosling. And Anthony Hopkins, his wife is murdered, and Ryan Gosling is either an investigator or a lawyer, I can't remember, that has to like crack the case. And it's a pretty sick movie. I thoroughly enjoy it. But he was also Zorro in The Mask of Zorro in 1998, which who can forget?
Wow.
Yeah, who can forget?
Wait, I thought that was Antonio Banderas.
No, Anthony Hopkins and Antonio Banderas both played Zorro different. Oh no, he was Don Diego. in the movie.
I'm trying to picture in 1998, Anthony Hopkins would have been like 50, 60.
He was
Trying to picture
aging
him
Zorro.
being Zorro.
He was Zorro who tried to retire. You know how in like the latest Bond films, it's like an aged Bond. He was trying to retire, but they just to quote The Godfather, you think every time he thinks he's out, they just pull him back in.
He was like old Brazos in Only Murders in the Building. They brought him back to play old Brazos. How come like when I finally start watching TV shows and I make references to them, you don't fucking know what the hell I'm talking about?
What's old Brazos? Because you watch shit like Burn Notice.
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty famous show.
It is. So is the other one I said. I forget what it was.
Yeah. My actor is Daniel Day-Lewis.
I mean, that was my. I'm happy I picked Anthony Hopkins because that was my second.
The man is completely deranged, but
he's insane.
He becomes the character he's playing, and look, I don't know if that's healthy, but it certainly makes for an entertaining movie. I've abandoned my boy.
So that means you must be putting the guy who plays Kendall Roy, Jeremy Strong, up there as well. He's also a method actor.
No, just because you're method doesn't mean you're goated.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I would have picked somebody else if I had. You just made me. Now that we're talking about method actors, I think I'm going to change mine.
Who?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, he's up there. Not joking. He's up there.
Oh, I know. He's amazing. His ability to play an unsettling weirdo who's like innocent but like is weird as fuck.
Okay, yeah, but that all spawned from the Gladiator. From not the Gladiator. Drop the "the." It's cooler. Gladiator with Russell Crowe, where he plays the emperor and he's like trying to bone his sister, and he's this creepy weasel who just like it's that same kind of like, you know, kind of out of bounds character that he just crushes. Same thing. I mean, Joker, obviously. But dude, I think he's probably a lot of people in our generation's pick as the greatest actor, perhaps at least living.
Is there going to be some sort of like cult around him because of the Joker from all like the incels and shit?
There probably is. Yeah. I try not to go into those corners of the internet, but it wouldn't shock me in the least.
But yeah, I'm going to say him. Only because I know more of his work than I do of Anthony Hopkins.
All right, and in terms of an actress, if you had to pick an actress to
I'm happy I'm going first because I feel like we have the same one.
Who is it?
Meryl Streep.
No, see, I went away from her. But I almost picked Meryl. She's obviously, I think it's kind of almost illegal to say another actress that's not Meryl Streep when you're talking goats. But I'm going to do it anyway. Zendaya.
Wow. Already a goat at like 24.
Look, I'm just calling my shot that she ends up the goat. That's how impressed I am with her going from Disney to Euphoria and Dune and shit. So I don't know. And everyone else in the world's picking the same person, Meryl Streep. So I just figured I'd throw out the next generation.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Rapper. I'll go first. Mine is Jay-Z. Jay-Z is my GOAT rapper because his influence is unmatched, right? Like Kanye, I would say, for most of you who are yelling at your radio right now, like, how is this douchebag not going to pick Kanye after all the time he has wasted discussing Kanye on this show?
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Kanye is like the Game of Thrones of rap. He was on pace to be the GOAT, no questions asked, and then he fumbled the bag. And now he's still top 3, but he can't be the GOAT to me. Greatest rapper-producer of all time is Kanye, but Jay-Z is just like a step above him for me in terms of if you're just talking a pure rapper, greatest of all time. Now, Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., obviously a huge influence and early days friend of Jay-Z, is right there for me too. Could be number 1. But Hove never dropped a bar about sucking someone's daddy's dick. So I have to reserve the GOAT spot for Sean Carter.
Mine is he's pretty similar. He's thought of in the same vein as Jay-Z. It's Will Smith because he didn't need to cuss to sell records.
That's a phenomenal pick, Jared.
Thank you.
This one's going to be controversial. Greatest NBA player of all time. Who's the GOAT basketball player of all time?
Not Matthew Dellavedova. Although he's
Dellavedova.
Good.
What was his last name?
Dellavedova.
Delly.
Australian great. No,
did love that guy though.
Here is why I pick LeBron James. Basketball is one of those sports where the people that LeBron is playing against now are so much better than the idiots and losers Michael Jordan was playing against.
Yeah, look, it's not exactly like people say like, oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing against like mailmen and shit. It's like, yeah, okay, but I agree with your overall sentiment.
Why is it always mailmen?
I don't know. I guess people just consider mailmen to be extremely unathletic, which is it's not fair. But
Or they're the most athletic, and that's why they're also in the NBA.
yeah, also Karl Malone's nickname was the mailman. But I agree with the overall sentiment that the league and the quality of athletic training, development, and overall skill level in the United States, in the profession, not even just the United States, in the professional world of sports has just gone up and up and up and up and up, and the competition has gotten stiffer and stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And that's not to take anything away from Michael Jordan. It's just that, like, look, I was a little kid watching a very old version of Michael Jordan play, and that's like the only real memory. Now, when I watch his highlights, obviously, nobody's going to shake their fist at you if you say Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time. Obviously, I understand the influence, but for similar reasons, LeBron is my all-around GOAT. LeBron James, because first of all, I'm sick of the argument. Jordan, unbelievable, obviously a fine pick for GOAT, but nowhere near as socially influential as LeBron James. LeBron is not a shut up and dribble guy, and I appreciate that about the dude at this point. It used to bother me, now I appreciate it. He opens his mouth, speaks his mind, and it brings him nothing but trouble, and he does it constantly regardless because he believes it's the right thing to do. I've hated on LeBron for being a douche clown many, many, many times, but above that hate has always been like a degree of respect for the most dominant athlete I have ever seen in terms of all-around performance.
He's won everywhere he's been.
And he's been running the entire league, minus a season here or there that went haywire, like last year for the Lakers, but for what? 20 fucking years.
Yeah, but how do you feel about the whole Daryl Morey thing, huh?
What about, the China thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying LeBron hasn't had missteps or hasn't misspoken at times. I still think he does things on a regular basis that like kind of make me roll my eyes. But overall, when I judge him sort of bias removed, my bias being that he's never been on my team and I've had to watch him kick the shit out of all my team, he seems like a great dude and a great family man, and he's never really gotten in that much trouble, and he's not like J.J. Watt level of cheesy.
You're talking a lot about his character, though. I think this is about...
No, that all plays into it for me, though, because Michael Jordan, off the court, is just sort of a degenerate gambling shoe mogul. That's it. Right? Like, I'm sure he owns restaurants and shit, too, but Jordan was never involved as an activist.
Really good steakhouse in Chicago. I've eaten there.
Well, that's the thing I appreciate about LeBron, and it's the thing that most people hate about professional athletes in 2022 that is the thing I like the most about him. I like that he puts himself in the line of fire to discuss things and even sometimes share opinions that might not be the popular opinion just because he thinks it's right, and I can appreciate that. So he's and on top of that, again, I've watched him play countless games where it wasn't close. There wasn't someone else on the floor that was like challenging him even.
You're not putting Kobe up there?
Look, Kobe is Kobe, but I got to watch him play quite a bit while he was a scoring machine and also a solid defensive player as well, had great defensive years. Not the same level of like sheer athletic dominance where there's LeBron running downhill is not stoppable. There's no human you can put in front of him that's going to be able to do anything about it. So, look, probably one of the most over-argued things in the world between LeBron and Michael Jordan. And then there's old heads who are like, Kareem, or like, Wilt Chamberlain. And it's just like, I don't fucking know. LeBron is ours.
Who's the other one they say?
LeBron, Kobe, Wilt Chamberlain.
Bill Russell,
because he has like 15 rings or some insane shit. All those guys are great. You can pick anybody for your GOAT. Mine is still LeBron. Just, I can't deny it anymore. Major League Baseball, Jose Altuve is mine. I don't give a fuck. Suck my dick, kiss my ass. I don't care. He's mine. That I think most baseball fans probably pick the greatest player in the history of their own team as their GOAT. Who yells out like, Lou Gehrig? That's just such or Babe Ruth. I don't know.
Ted Williams. I'm going off of advanced statistics. I'm just picking Mike Trout. I think Trout, if you look at the statistics, I think he is statistically the best. His team sucks minus him and Ohtani.
Yeah, the Angels have been like a cursed franchise. It's insane that they have two of the most talented, if not the most talented baseball player in all time in Mike Trout, and yet they cannot establish any chokehold on their own division, branding in baseball. Even with this dude, how do you pronounce his last name? I always blow it. Ohtani, who can play both sides. He's pitching, he's hitting, he's a freak. The guy's incredible, but they still suck. But yeah, you could throw out Hank Aaron, the racist Ty Cobb, Barry Bonds, who juiced his balls off, Willie Mays. There's a ton of players to pick.
Jason Giambi.
Just going without Tuve. What about hockey? You know a lot more about hockey than me.
Okay, I mean, obviously the great one is Wayne Gretzky, who has all these unbeatable records.
Yeah.
But he did play in an era where you scored way more goals.
A lot more scoring went down.
I mean, it's like they had smaller pads and shit. More scoring went down back then for sure. That's why nobody's going to catch his records ever. It's like you can't do that anymore.
So who's your hockey goat?
I have a lot of recency bias because I fully understand that the competition today is so fucking much better than the competition was even 10 years ago, certainly 20, 30 years ago.
Game changes too.
So I'm picking Alexander Ovechkin. His longevity has been insane. He's going to end up probably like the second leading scorer ever, even playing in the era he plays in now. Going Ovi. Ovi's insane. Ovi has been a top player in the NHL since I was in middle school.
Do people still throw out like Sidney Crosby?
No, not as a GOAT, no. He got injured too much.
What about like Lemieux? Mario Lemieux? No.
I don't think he put up the numbers.
I don't know enough hockey players.
People say Gordie Howe. That's one people put up there.
Okay. Mark Messier.
Rocket Richard. No, they don't put Mark Messier up.
What about Jaromir Jagr?
Jaromir Jagr, he's one of my goats, only because he played until he was like 42.
It's a sick name.
Jaromir Jagr is an amazing name.
Yeah.
Anybody who was still playing in the last 5 years who I used to play with in NHL 93 on Super Nintendo is one of my goats.
What about tennis?
Tennis, this is easy.
Yeah.
I want to hear you go first.
Mine's Andre Agassi. Because
that
doing
dumb
meth,
as fuck.
Doing meth with that hair and still appearing even mildly athletic is nothing short of a miracle. He won 8 Grand Slams as a tweaker. That's nothing to shake your dick at.
Did he actually do meth?
Andre Agassi did methamphetamine and played tennis.
No way.
Yes. Have you never heard this?
Is that how he lost his hair?
I don't know if it's how he lost his hair, but it's partially to blame for the decision to wear that ridiculous wig.
He wore a wig? What do I
Are you unfamiliar with Andre Agassi?
I know exactly who Andre Agassi is. He was Pete Sampras' main rival.
Yeah.
But I know he did meth.
He did meth.
Messy.
Yeah.
Andre Agassi.
He went bald, started going bald at 19 years old and wore a wig for a number of years to try to hide that fact.
He admitted using crystal meth a year before he won the French Open.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
1997. His autobiography contains an admission he used crystal meth in 1997 and failed a drug test, a result that was thrown out after he lied by saying he unwittingly took the substance. How do you unwittingly take crystal meth? Somebody puts it in your food?
Regardless.
Anyway, he was addicted to crystal meth.
The actual tennis GOAT, the one that, if you disagree with this, you're obviously.
I do disagree with it.
No. It's not Andre Agassi, okay?
Your GOAT can't do ice for shit, bro.
You don't know what he's done. I will say this. The greatest, there's two GOATs. Two. The actual GOAT of tennis is Novak Djokovic. He has a winning record against all of his rivals. Winning record against Nadal, winning record against Federer, winning record against Wawrinka, Andy Murray. And he's going to end up having the most Grand Slams of any tennis player
It's
ever.
likely. Yeah.
He might already have it, honestly.
I don't think, because he just won, what was that? Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Against the psychopath
Kyrgios,
who I bet on. I love that dude.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Totally unhinged. And when they were showing all-time win numbers, he still had a little ways to go, I think.
Yeah, well, he's going to get it.
But
he's
yeah,
insane.
that guy's...
And he's been ranked number 1 in the world longer than anybody else.
He's unreal. Obviously an asshole, by the way.
I have his signature, so I'm not going to say he's an asshole.
Oh, that dude.
That's going to drive my signature price down.
Okay, do you know much about him?
I know a lot about him.
He's a total dickhead.
He's not a total dickhead.
He is a total prick.
Nope, I'm disagreeing. I actually think he is a dickhead, but he's not a total dickhead.
My GOAT...
He is 25% dickhead.
My GOAT, kind, meth-smoking, wig-wearing Andre. Your GOAT, total dickhead,
nope.
Anti-vaxxing, fuckhead.
25%
Novak
Djokovic, who I got his signature at the U.S. Open in like 2010.
Is golf even a fun one?
You didn't let me say the other GOAT. There's two GOATs.
Who's the other GOAT?
Novak Djokovic, all-around GOAT. Undeniably, Rafael Nadal is the greatest clay court player of all time.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
No, I'm saying right now on clay court, he's best. So I would say, and
that's only one kind, though.
No. Rafael Nadal is the greatest court-specific tennis player of all time, which matters.
Yeah, but nobody says who's the GOAT of clay. Right? It'd be like
they say who's the GOAT of ice, and it's Andre Agassi.
Who's the GOAT of Augusta? Not like all of golf, just Augusta. Nobody asks that. But golf does seem like it's
They do that in Formula One. They say who's the GOAT of Monaco, and it's
really
Ayrton Senna. Yeah.
Oh.
True story. Did you say golf up next?
Yeah.
I mean, this is dumb. It's Tiger
I
Woods.
don't,
Wait,
yeah.
some people say Jack Nicklaus. He had more majors. Jack's got more majors, but again, Jack's playing against mailmen back in the
Yeah, and again, you
70s.
and me are not the age of people. Nobody within 15 years of you or I is going to pick anyone but Tiger Woods here. It's just, it's not going to happen because no other golfer comes close in terms of entertainment value or being interesting enough to watch. And dude has almost died and had to give up the game like thrice at this point, and he's still out there doing it.
Still
so
won
yeah.
the Masters.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do F1. Mr. Formula Bone, F1 god over here.
So
you know I have no fucking clue.
Okay.
I mean, I do have a GOAT pick, just to be clear, and I'll share it with you, but I want you to go first.
Okay, the two drivers in the GOAT debate most commonly are Lewis Hamilton, seven World Drivers' Championships, Michael Schumacher, 7 World Drivers' Championships.
Michael Schumacher, the one who is
He's currently
all these mysterious circumstances around his coma.
still alive. He's still alive, but nobody knows how.
I also read that his son Mick is making waves in F1.
Mick Schumacher, this is his second year. He never scored a point until 2 races ago, but now he's scored points in 2 races in a row. So it's like he's got the bad juju off him, and now he's like going crazy.
Man, that's just a weird situation though, where like his dad is still alive. But anyway, okay.
So those are, most people say those two, mostly because of the amount of
The win
championships
counts.
they have.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if it was between those two, I'm not making it between those two. I'm saying Ayrton Senna.
Who? I don't even know who that is, which is sad.
Well,
but also what?
He won 5 times in Monaco. Was it 5 or 6?
Is he
5 times.
retired?
He passed away.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
Passed
why
away
I
at
don't
the
know who he is.
1994 San Marino Grand Prix during the race.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like a crash?
Crashed, yes.
Ooh.
He would have won more. I mean, he was in a bad car then. He was in a Williams, and because he moved over there, and that car stunk. So he would have probably had to get out of the Williams to start like winning again. But he's the greatest qualifier of all time. And he also, the reason why I don't include Lewis personally is because Lewis currently drives a computer. Lewis literally drives a computer.
He's
where
Mercedes, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the cars nowadays are computers.
Sure.
Literally, they're all, the amount of data these cars have in sensors, they're actually computers. Back then, they're driving just machines.
It's a toaster.
Yeah.
You were driving a toaster back in the day.
It's a toaster versus a expensive NZXT pre-built desktop computer.
Here's a great comparison. It's the gateway PC I grew up playing, fucking Roller Coaster Tycoon on versus the $3,600 supercomputer in the living room that we stream on now.
Yes. So I think you like it's actually hilariously the opposite, in my opinion, of NBA, and like the machinery you're driving around on is getting so much better that I actually value
The old competition more.
Because you had to be a better actual driver. Like before, power steering was the thing. Right?
Yeah, it was much more about fundamentals
and feel of the car and your ability to like Ayrton Senna, the way
instincts, right?
The way he was able to like control cars around corners and like make micro adjustments. You don't have to do that anymore because the car does it for you.
That's really funny that it's kind of the shoe on the other foot for F1
so I'm
versus
going
the other
Senna.
sports.
I'm going Senna.
All right, well, mine is Todd Benson.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, Todd Benson,
goated in my eyes, never be rivaled,
aka Valtteri Bottas.
Todd Benson. I got a good one for you next.
Okay.
Cereal. GOAT cereal. I have to say, I am like a cereal connoisseur.
Yeah, you are.
I really, really love cereal. I think it was like during the beginning of the pandemic when I was super fucking depressed and it was hard to get myself to eat. Cereal is just like a super easy thing to just like, wolf down.
It's a sugar addiction.
And it's also filled with delicious sugar and all kinds of tastiness. And But even as a little kid, man, I loved cereal. I tried every different cereal, man, like way back in the day. I can remember cereals that don't even exist anymore. There was a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure cereal that I used to get, and it came with an elevator toy. Like, cereal's always been a huge part of my life. But thinking through my favorite, like, all-time GOAT cereal was really, really, really hard. Like, picking one that basically I had to ask myself this. If I could only pick one cereal to eat for the rest of my life, what would I pick? And I thought about like Honey Nut Cheerios because it's not too sweet and it's got some nutritional value in some way, shape, or form versus some of the other ones. And I was like, fuck that. That's lame. One Life, YOLO. Lucky Charms maybe, right? But then it's like that stupid...
I don't like those marshmallows.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little too marshmallowy, right? There's maybe not enough substance to those, so I'm landing somewhere in the middle on Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Good pick.
It's all time, and the after milk that Cinnamon Toast Crunch leaves behind, hashtag after milk, is unrivaled.
Can't call it after milk.
That's what it's called, though. It's the after milk. When your cereal's gone, but there's still milk in the bowl, and it's all that sugary sweetness mixed up, and in the case of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, there's like swirls of cinnamon mixed in there, or in the case of Lucky Charms, it's like a fucking orgy of that a rainbow had in there, like all kinds of colors. That shit's so good. Just give it that, get the whole bowl, and you just fucking pour it into your mouth, the milk, the after milk that's left over.
Mine is honestly, I think most people are going to pick, over 50% of people are going to pick yours and mine combined. Reese's Puffs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That shit ain't cereal, but it is.
That's an after milk right there.
That's
a dark after milk right there. That's a chocolate milk that leaves behind for you.
Now, give us some honorable mentions, because you already gave a couple. You said
Lucky Charm.
I have an honorable mention for you.
Fruity Pebbles is one of mine.
Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisps?
Cookie Crisp.
That's not one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, big Raisin brand guy. Love Raisin. Captain Crunch is up there for sure.
Captain Crunch is great. With Crunch Berries?
Yes. Put them in there. Why not? Again, One Life.
French Toast Crunch, also pretty good stuff.
I tried that.
How about Golden Grams?
Who says life?
Nobody. Golden Grams are underrated.
Not bad. Good after milk there, too.
I feel like a Golden Grams Rice Krispie would be so good.
I know I'm starting to get a little hungry. Let's talk about cuisine.
Okay, good transition.
Greatest of all time cuisine. So I'm talking about picking like a,
style of food.
Yeah, style of food. Mine is Italian. Okay, it's like, as Paulie Gualtieri says on The Sopranos, we taught the world how to eat. And for the record, I am not Italian. So yes, I participate in all of the cultural appropriation. Okay, I don't have my own culture as a straight white American. I just have to pick and adopt from all of the other, rich cultures of our country. Sue me. Don't sue me. We're too busy to deal with that shit right now. But mine is Italian. I love Italian. You never leave an Italian restaurant hungry. It doesn't happen. You usually leave on the verge of explosive diarrhea. You've stuffed yourself so full of pasta and carbs and bread and red wine.
I'm currently eating a low-carb diet right now, or like eating less carbs. I don't think I could go to it.
You can't even go to an Italian restaurant. Also, it's the vibes in the Italian restaurants are usually a little darker.
Okay,
it's
Billy
like,
Joel.
It's like, is that a Billy Joel song about?
Scenes from an Italian restaurant?
Okay. But it's like something, it's cozy in there in most Italian restaurants. And I like the music and shit. Italian is mine. It's my goat.
Mine is Japanese.
Like sushi?
And
all Japanese.
Ramen. I love ramen, my favorite food. Ramen, sushi, sashimi, noodle bowls.
This is top 3 for me.
Yakitori. It's
like, I think it would be Italian, Tex-Mex, Japanese.
Poke.
If I had to pick,
I guess
because those are all amazing.
Poke is kind of Japanese. It's more, it gets kind of fused.
Here's kind of part of it for me. To pick your goat cuisine, you have to be able to live off just that. And in the case of Japanese food, there's so many different options in terms of styles and types of foods that are all fucking delicious. That's a great pick.
Thank you.
That's a great pick.
Thank you very much.
What about video game? And no, Jared, I'm not going to say Apex Legends. I don't want you to have a brain aneurysm.
I fucking hate that game.
And by the way, if you say like Legend of Zelda or some shit, you're an elitist nerd and you need to chill out. Like, great for actual golden age of video games, last 20 years, not fucking Zelda back in 1998 or whatever. That's not the pick. What's your GOAT video game?
My GOAT video game, greatest of all time, World of Warcraft. Don't really know how you can argue with that. I've sunk days and amount of days that would shock most people of my life. Over a month of my life straight has been, not in a row, but you know what I'm saying.
No, seriously, one of the first really tough months I ever had was in high school. I got caught with pot, and I got grounded, all right? And fortunately, there was no drug testing going on at this point, so I didn't have to stop smoking pot, but I was quite stuck in the house. So I played World of Warcraft for a fucking month, usually high.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. It was immersive.
I would play it for every summer break in high school. I would play it. I wouldn't do anything else. Wouldn't hang out with friends. Nope. Didn't have friends. You know why? All my friends were in the fucking game. And as I told a story on the show once, that one time made me cry.
Dude, it seriously is like one of the OG versions of the metaverse, though, where I've said this before. One of my best friends in high school, his stepdad, this was not a good example of a stepdad. We like to only talk about good stepdads here. This guy was not great. His stepdad didn't have a job. All he did was play World of Warcraft. That was his life. He woke up, logged in, and played until he went to sleep. And it was almost like that creepy dude in South Park. Like, you don't even get up. It's like a toilet in your chair or whatever. That was it. And, I mean, when I saw
Sword
that.
of a Thousand Truths.
Yes, that was a great episode. All-time South Park episode. But I watched this dude play that game long before I had played it. And when I eventually got around to it, when that grounding happened, I immediately realized what had happened to him. It was one of the most addictive things I'd ever played.
Yeah.
It's hard to get out of there.
Luckily, the game now has gotten so complicated that it's harder to get fully immersed because, like,
you feel way too far behind.
You feel too far behind, and there's just too much to do now. Where, like, before it was like, okay, I would sign in, I'd do my daily quests, and like, okay, I
made some progress.
I made some progress. I can get off now. Now there's so much to do that I probably would play for less time because I'm like, I can't even make a dent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It feels like you can't even put a dent in the whole of the game. So, no, that's a really great pick, though. It's obviously a lot of people's choices. It's one of the most popular video games ever made. I just want, like, my honorable mention here would be The Last of Us. I think that's, all in all, probably the most impressive video game I've ever played in terms of story. It's a lot of cinematics. But it's not like a classic video game to me. It's got all those movie-style scenes in it and stuff, and it's a little bit more one-player, like, not really much to do with your boys if you're playing The Last of Us. It's also terrifying. So my GOAT is Grand Theft Auto 5. It's GTA 5.
That's fair.
It's one of the longest standing runs in the history of gaming in terms of how much money that thing makes every year. Came out, I don't even know how many years ago at this point. Apparently they're finally working on 6. Very excited about that. But Grand Theft Auto 5 you could play forever. Some people have. And it never gets old, man. So GTA 5 is my GOAT video game.
Honorable mention for me is Fable 2. Specifically Fable 2.
What the hell is that?
It's an RPG for Xbox.
By the way, Jared and I are going to be doing a variety stream tomorrow on Friday, July 22nd on Twitch. Just hit us on social media. You'll see us tweeting out links and stuff from the RBP account, from our personal accounts. But we're going to play several games, Fall Guys included. But one of the ones I want to run out there is Stray. Have you seen this game?
Nope.
You play a cat.
Okay.
You're a stray cat wandering a post-apocalyptic world. That's all I know about it. It's third person. You see the cat. You move the cat around. There's other cats. Not sure if you can interact with the other cats, if the other cats are controlled by humans. I just know I want to be a stray. So tomorrow's the day.
Okay.
Check it out on Twitch.
Fine.
All right, last category. GOAT meme. The greatest meme of all time. Internet meme. There's a lot to pick from. This is a challenging one. I have mine. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah.
Mine is Distracted Guy. It's the guy who's walking with his girlfriend, but then he's looking back at the chick who just passed going the other direction. That's my favorite meme ever. It's just an incredible format that is from a photo stock picture, which makes it all the funnier to me. But if I had to pick a runner-up, it would be Evil Kermit, where it's Kermit talking to Kermit with the evil hood on or whatever. Yeah.
This is tough for me. Part of me wants to say Rickroll, but that's not really a meme.
I think that counts, though. Right?
Well, but if I was going to pick Rickroll, I'd pick Mr. Big Cock, obviously.
But that's, well, yeah, okay, so maybe those don't count as memes.
So, but, okay, I think the funniest meme, one of the funniest memes to me.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. One of the funniest memes to me is really, I would never use it because it's really inappropriate.
All I can see in my head right now is Mr. Big Cock.
Yes, it's big. It's a really inappropriate meme that like it makes me feel awkward when it pops up because if I'm in public and I see it, like I need to scroll past it.
But yeah, it's still one of the goats. I already know what you're gonna say. Hit me.
Well,
Hit me.
I don't know if you actually know what I'm gonna say.
No, it's the chick on the couch with the 7 dudes behind her.
No, not that one.
Oh,
not that one.
Oh,
That's
that
a
one's
good
great
one,
though.
That's a good one.
What's yours?
What you see versus what she sees.
Oh, the angles one.
So it's
That's a
like
good one.
what you see. It's like her face looking up at you, and then what she sees, and it's like always a funny like,
7 chins. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one.
That was
That's a
just
good
funny
one.
every time. The nut button is also good.
What's the nut button?
It's the blue button when the hand comes to smash it. The nut button.
Smack that nut button, baby. That is a good one. That is a good one. Weird fact, when memes first hit the scene, I was extremely upset. We were already in content creation, you and I. I mean, when they really took off, when everybody started making memes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the cheapest version of content ever created. It's bullshit. What a fucking hack. Now I love them. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Maybe I just sold out, but they cracked me up.
I think you sold out. Or we just,
We got over inundated with they're everywhere. You can't refuse the meme life anymore. It's not an option in 2022.
It's not.
Well, those were our GOAT categories. Holler at Jared and I on social media with yours or argue with us. We would love to hear from you at Jared Borislow on Twitter, at WR Bolen on Twitter. Let's get some conversations going. Let's yell at each other, huh? GOAT Talk. Today's episode is also brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs have completely changed the game. Their shorts, pants, and joggers are made from the finest high-quality material. They come with built-in liners that cradle your stovepipe for all-day comfort. Who the fuck likes being uncomfortable? It's time to upgrade to the shorts and pants of the future. Your balls will thank you. You just go to birddogs.com. You enter promo code ROSS when you check out, and you'll receive a free gift with your order. Maybe it's a Bird Dogs rope hat or a Bird Dogs tumbler or nunchucks or a dad hat or a whistling football, but you're getting something baller for free with your order of the most comfortable shorts on earth using code ROSS. That's birddogs.com, promo code ROSS. Boom, free Bird Dogs gift with your pair of Bird Dogs. You will not take these things off, I promise you, not even in the shower, Jared. They're too comfortable. I wear them to work out a couple times a week. I hoop in them. I sleep in them regularly. Most comfortable, all-purpose shorts I have ever worn or owned. And as they say, they dry faster than a bathing suit. Incredibly high-quality materials and fabrics with all Bird Dogs clothing in my experience, too.
I'm wearing them right now.
Bird Dogs.
My stovepipe's being cradled.
Your stovepipe. Birddogs.com. Code ROSS. Free gift with your order. I've got a couple insane headlines of the day. The first one is from ABC News. New lawsuit claims Skittles are unsafe to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, we cannot catch a fucking break right now. So, from ABC News, the lawsuit alleges that Skittles are made with a known toxin, titanium dioxide, which I think you're taking a sip of right now, which is unfit for human consumption. It says in 2016, the candy maker, Mars, I didn't realize Mars owned Skittles, but they do. They said they were planning on getting rid of the chemical compound from their products, but this lawsuit claims that it's still being used, titanium dioxide, and a Mars spokesperson says the company does not comment on pending litigation, but its use of titanium dioxide complies with FDA regulations, which I have to say isn't a great argument. Everybody knows the FDA sucks ass.
I mean, if you watched that opium documentary,
It's the most
Crime of the
worthless
century.
organization. Like I'm not even exaggerating. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, is one of the most poorly run and historically awful organizations in the world. Government organizations in the world. Seriously, truly terrible. My wife always tells me the story about how they developed the original nutrition pyramid. I can't even get into it. I'll get too angry. Google it. It's ridiculous. The story's crazy. My other headline is person shot outside Northwest Houston apartment takes Uber to hospital. And the reason this one is on my list is because I was in a Uber the other day, or a Lyft, who knows, and the dude driving told me that this has happened to him multiple times, not with gunshot wounds, but he had to like almost deliver a baby in the back of an Uber at one point, because apparently, all right, health costs obviously very high. People do not want to spend the money on an ambulance. Ambo rides can be crazy expensive, bro. One time I took an ambulance ride from a gas station to the hospital because I was having a panic attack and thought I was going to pass out. I was in college in the middle of nowhere. It was maybe a quarter mile, and it costs $2,500
Jesus.
for an ambulance ride. I have insurance. That's what's crazy. This was when I was on my parents' shit, so it was probably even better. And it's just, it's wild to me, but apparently ride-share drivers are routinely being summoned by people who do not want to deal with an ambulance or have to pay that kind of fee to take their ass to the emergency room or the hospital. And in some cases, it's for a baby. Sometimes it's for a gunshot. Shit is wild. You know? Let me read a little bit of the story, though, because it's kind of weird. So 2 people were shot after an altercation outside this Houston apartment complex. One of the people later took a ride-share vehicle to the hospital, but it was like 8:20 p.m., and police show up to the 1800 block of Wirt Road in Spring Branch because gunshots have been reported, and they find a blood trail and shell casings in the apartment courtyard. Shortly after, investigators are notified 2 people were taken to separate hospitals with gunshot wounds. They can't figure out the identities immediately, and then a witness told investigators that it was 3 people out in the parking lot arguing, and then like Mexican standoff style, all 3 of these people whip out guns, and then they all start shooting at each other. Just like fucking, like it's totally normal. So one of these people gets shot multiple times and crawls into one of the apartments. A resident provides them with aid and then calls them an Uber for transportation to a local hospital. The other person was transported by a third-party individual in a private vehicle to another area hospital, and that's apparently
Uber
it.
needs to start capitalizing by putting an option in there that's Uber ambulance.
Yeah, but there has to be like an insurance issue here in terms of the liability of a rideshare driver. What if they don't get you there in time or whatever? Like, are they then liable to be sued by you?
Hey, their job is to pick you up and drop you off. I think it's
What happens in between?
I don't know.
That's on you?
Yep. So I think.
Yeah. Anyway. Couple of crazy headlines for you. And speaking of healthcare, today's episode is also brought to you by Crowd Health. Insurance is a pretty complicated thing. It's tough to shop for, tough to understand. Most people don't even know what they're really paying for. The government and big insurance companies always feel like they're standing in the way of us and quality care. Your health is being bought and sold to the highest bidder. Politicians, hospitals, big pharma, and health insurance companies make huge profits at the expense of your health. Lobbyists are fighting to make sure they will not have competition and you won't have options. Crowd Health's disruptive technology puts your healthcare decisions back in your hands. It saves you money, cuts out the middleman. It's not insurance. It's what insurance could or should be. Crowd Health is not health insurance. That's why it works. There are no deductibles, networks, complicated exclusions, or copays. You see any doctor you want, you pay the first $500 and submit any bills from there. The Crowd Health community takes care of the rest. It's a new way to pay for healthcare. No doctor networks, no huge premiums or high deductibles, no surprises. Crowd Health is putting the community back in community healthcare. So if you're interested, looking for another option for a way to cover your healthcare needs, stop paying health insurance companies your hard-earned dollars and go to joincrowdhealth.com now and experience freedom from health insurance. Right now, you can get your first 6 months for just $99 per month. That's almost 50% off the normal price and a lot less than a high-deductible healthcare plan. Just go to joincrowdhealth.com. Use promo code RBP at sign-up. That's joincrowdhealth.com. Promo code RBP to get your first 6 months for just $99 a month. Crowd Health is not health insurance. It's a totally different way of paying for healthcare. Terms and conditions may apply. Jared, last week you brought up a documentary that you were watching. And we won't call this a full-blown talking with Jared. You don't have to hit the ridiculous sound that one of our listeners made for us, although thank you again. I ended up starting Mind Over Murder this past weekend. And I got all the way caught up to the point that I was watching the latest episode live with you. And this is one of the most absurd true crime stories I have ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably the most frustrating in terms of watching it unfold. Because as a viewer, the information you are privy to and the unbiased nature of watching it unfold unemotionally, you have a pretty good feel for just how fucked the situation is a few episodes in. And yet the town in which this occurred in Nebraska is totally incapable of understanding the situation. And the family even of the victim is totally incapable of understanding the situation that they find themselves in. And it is just mind-boggling. I mean, the amount of incompetency in this police department, which it's one of those stories when you watch it unfold, the scariest part is extrapolating it out. Okay, so this is one case in one town. How many times has something like this happened?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it gets really scary to think about. But I just wanted to say Jared's recommendation on the most recent Docking with Jared was spot on. Mind Over Murder is incredible. Highly, highly recommend it. But because my co-host enjoys a good documentary, I have been digging in deep the last few weeks. And there's some other stuff I watched that I wanted to throw at you very quickly. Juice WRLD, Into the Abyss on HBO Max. It's a music box documentary, I believe it's called. I think it's Bill Simmons that is actually the executive producer.
Somehow is.
I fucking hate that guy. But this is a great, great little 2-hour look into what is one of the most influential artists of his generation in terms of time he actually had to execute on his career. It was only a couple years. He was like 19 when he took off, and he was dead by 21. And for anybody who has ever struggled with addiction or perhaps is struggling with addiction, it's definitely triggering. It's a very real look at a drug addict going from the highest high possible to the lowest low possible, which would be death. And a real look it's almost like, with a lot of these true crime docs, how you're like, why did they record all this? Why would this person who's committing all these crimes have this all on camera? It's almost like Juice wanted people to see what was happening to him so that maybe it wouldn't happen to so many other people. And that's the only thing I can think of when I'm like watching it, like, bro, you guys had cameras on everything. Like, he walks by at one point, opens his mouth, and he's got 8 Perk 30s in his mouth, which I was telling Jared the other day. I was like, if you took 8 of those right now, you would be dead. Your heart would fucking stop. Or you would at least be comatose and need to be taken to a hospital. But this dude's tolerance for Percocet was so high that he was just housing them. And eventually it killed him. But the story of Juice WRLD and the way he connected with millions of people, his fans all around the globe, and the way that he was competing with the top streaming artists in the world, Drake, The Weeknd, Juice was right there. And he had barely gotten started. He was, on track and pace to be one of the biggest selling artists in the history of music. And then just like that, he was gone. And it's also a look into the world of enablers, right? Like, where it's really difficult to understand how something like this happens. Why wouldn't there be somebody to help him out, get him into rehab? He was making so much money. How did the label not stop him? How did nobody step in? And it sort of put a little bit of that in perspective for me, where it's like, look, man, if you were sort of a loner outcast type of dude like Juice was, and you were deeply into drugs, those are the types of people you would surround yourself with. Other loner, like, sort of outcast individuals who felt like they weren't accepted, who were deeply into drugs. So there wasn't really anybody in his circle that could see what was really happening. They could see how bad it was, because they were all so fucked up. But it is a very, very cool doc. It also includes just a ton of his live performances at festivals, which are moving, because you see 70,000 people in some cases going absolutely nuts with this like 20-year-old kid. And as a 35-year-old man who does some form of entertainment for a job, it's just something to behold. It's really, really cool. The other thing I watched was Rich and Shameless, which is it's a docu-series, and every episode covers a different outrageous rich person that got caught doing horrible crimes. One of them is the Nexium, the Seagram's liquor heiress who funded Nexium, which is another incredible documentary, the one about Nexium. But one of them is about this dude named Nygar, who is a Canadian fashion mogul who bought an island in the Bahamas and turned it into his personal sexual assault fucking dungeon, basically. It was horrible, but the story is crazy. And every single one of the episodes is awesome. I already finished. It's Rich and Shameless. I think there's 7 of them. It's also on HBO. HBO cut the fucking check. And I loved it. So I just wanted to throw a couple other documentary options at everybody for today. Some things on the way out. I saw a new nut moment. You know what a nut moment is, right? Mm-hmm. Where everything just clicks. One of those perfect moments in life where you just like, oh God, yeah. One of them is when the middle seat is open next to you, or both seats for that matter, on an airplane, and then they close the cabin door. And
that is just a great moment.
It's an amazing feeling, especially for a long flight. You're about to sit through like a 6-hour flight or something, cross country. Getting that whole row to yourself, or even just having that middle seat open so that you can kind of relax, get both armrests. That's a big win. It's a great nut moment right there.
It is.
Right? Yeah. Also, I just to admit this, I have not stopped listening to Ed Sheeran's Castle on a Hill on repeat this past week. It's like, it's an incredible song, top 50 song all time for me. Ed Sheeran and
I'm on my way.
dude, it's so good. It's just so uplifting. The vibes are immaculate. Ed Sheeran and Jack Harlow fans, you need to realize something. If I wasn't also a fan myself, I wouldn't even talk about the damn artist. Just because I give someone shit for selling out on one album or project or loving music so much that they refuse to stop featuring on every album ever made does not mean that I too myself, Ross Bolen, do not also enjoy other music that those artists have made. It's like with Eminem, one of the most mockable and absurd artists of all time who has put out just an unacceptable amount of garbage due to his personal struggles with fame and drugs and life. Yet, he still has classic records that I jam regularly still. Like Superman. I love that song. It's toxic. It's fucked up for sure. But it's a great song. It's music. It's not personal, Sonny. It's music, so don't take it personally. Just be a G. Throw up the L. And have sex in the AM. Follow us on social media. We got 100,000 on TikTok at The Ross Bolen Podcast. On Instagram at The Ross Bolen Podcast. On Twitter, on Instagram it's at Ross Bolen Podcast. On Twitter it's at Ross Bolen Pod. I am Ross Bolen. Follow me at WR Bolen on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Jared at Jared Borislow. Formula Bone. F1 show available wherever you listen to RBP. F1 fans, get in there at Formula Bone on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Bone Man and I will be back Friday on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, where everyone who's signed up has known that I'm going to have a kid for over a week. But you didn't know because you're not there. You should be. Go now. You're missing half the episodes we do every week right now this summer if you're not on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. Get in there. Until next time, peace be with you and also with you.